Hi, welcome back. So now let's talk about the next set of questions that we have in the Tableau certification guide. So let's go back and see the next question. So the next question is, determine which state in central region has the highest distribution of profits using interquartile ranges. If you remember, we did talk about interquartile ranges and how each quartile is divided. So why don't we go back and open up and open a new sheet. Okay, rename the sheet to Q10. That's our new. So we are looking at, what are we exactly looking at? So let's go and look the question again. Determine which state in central region, so we are looking at just a central region, that's a filter, has the highest distribution of profits. Okay, so first thing we want to filter out by region, so let's filter out by central region. That's what we are looking for. Apply. Okay, and we are looking at profit, so let's look at profit. And then we are looking at state, across states. So you can do it across state, and we are looking more using the interpercentile. So let's click at that. So the reason why you're seeing here is because we are just looking at all the states. So let's go back and don't aggregate by measures. That's the first thing. And we don't have state in my column. So let's add it. So if you look at this right now, I have it state aggregated across. So now let's see which has the highest interpercentile range. So let's go and look at the question. Highest distribution of profits using interpercentile range. Highest distribution of profits. If you see, the highest distribution looks like to be in, so the distribution, if you see, there are 4 percentiles, and looks like the highest one is this one, which is South Dakota. So because you can just look at and say, hey, this is the highest distribution of profit. So South Dakota is the answer in this case. Let's go and see if we have South Dakota out there. It does. So that's what we are looking for. South Dakota has the highest. Okay. The next one is pretty interesting. So let's look at it. Look at the sum of profits for each subcategory. Which subcategory is 31,069 below the average profit across all categories? So this is interesting. So look at the sum of profits for each subcategory. Okay, so we want the sum of profits for each subcategory, and then we want an average of that, and then we want to calculate the difference. Okay, let's now go ahead and start a new one. Let's go back. Rename the sheet, as you know, it is Q11. Okay, now what, let's go back. We need the product subcategory, and we need sum of profit. So that's the first piece of it. So let's go ahead, let's go to product subcategory, and then we need the profit. So let's go for sum of profits. So this is a sum of profits, and now let's add the total amount of profit. So I'm going to add the column show grand totals. So if you look, this is a total profit, but now I want an average of the total profit, which means if you add all of this up, we are going to get 1.3 million, but I'm actually looking to get the average of the total profit. So I'm going to go to table analysis, totals, total using average. By default it is sum. I'm going to change it to average. So right now, if you see, the average profit per each subcategory is 77,202. So now I need to find which of the subcategories has the total sales less than whatever we have here. Minus this should be like 31,000. So let's now add a new column. So we need to see whether they are asking sales of which subcategory is below the average profit. Subcategory is 31 below the average profit across all categories. So I'm going to say this is average, below average, and this is sum of profit minus, if you see here, we already have the profit, that is 77,202. Click apply. Okay, now let's drag below average right there, and if you see, we are, what is the value they are looking for, which category is 31,069 below. So looks like envelopes has 31,069 below, so the answer in this case should be envelope C. The other way to do this is using windowing functions that we will be covering in an advanced course, but in this course we can definitely do this calculation using averaging and then trying to see if it is below the average or above the average. So this is about question 11. So if you have any questions, we can discuss in detail using the windowing function. I can give you an overview at later point if you have any questions. But windowing functions are pretty aggressive. I think the next question also has an option of using windowing functions. It is basically how you calculate stuff using windows. So for now, this is how we will solve question 11. So now let's go look at the next one. The top 10 customers by sales represent -% of the total profits. So this is a really interesting one. So here we are talking about two different metrics. One is sales, at the same time profits. So how are we going to do that? The idea of solving this problem is simple. Top 10 customers by sales. So we are going to figure out all the top 10 customers by sales and then make a set out of it. If you remember, we talked about how to make sets and how to use it. And then we are going to use that set that we prepared and see what is the total profit. So let's go and see how we solve that. Okay, let's go here and open a new sheet. Rename this to question 12. So the first thing we need to do here is we need the customer name, and then we need the total sales, not profit at this point. If you see, what are the top 10 customers by sales represent what % of the total profit. So the first thing we need to do is get those top 10 customers by sales. So this is the customer name and this is the total summation. But how do I get the top 10? As you guys know, filter it out. You can go to the top, you can say filter the top 10 by say sum of sales. Click apply. So these are the top 10 customers that I have. So now what I'm going to do, select all of these top 10 and then I'm going to, as you know, create a new set. So what is this set? Top 10 customers. Click OK. Now I have the top 10 customers. So the next piece, we is to use this top 10 customers. So rather than developing it is in the same thing, I'm going to rename this to question 12-1, and now I'm going to add a new sheet where I'm going to rename this to question 12-2. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just use my top 10 customers, and what are we looking at here is what % of the total profit. So let's do the total profit. So I'm going to drag profit right there, and now if you see, I get the total profit, but we are actually looking at what percentile. So let's go back, quickly change our format to say it as percentage. And the reason you're seeing this as heavy percentage is because if you cannot directly change it here as a percentage because these two are independent out of each other. So let's go back and do a quick table calculation. I want % of the total. So if you see right there, we get 5%, 5.03 is in, which means it is in the top 10 customers, which means my top 10 customers are contributing to 5.03% of the total profit. So now let's go back and see if we have that in our options. Yes, be there. 5.03. So this is what is the answer for this question, 5.03. And as we saw in this case, sometimes we will have to divide the questions into multiple pieces and solve it one by one, so that, like in this case, we started off by creating the top 10 customers and then added a filter to filter them out. Okay, now let's go back and see what is our next question. Question number 13. What was the moving average of sales in June of 2012? This is pretty simple, including 6 months prior and 6 months after. So this is where it gets a bit complicated. So, but it's not really that complicated. We have a moving average function. We discussed about it earlier. So let's see if we can do that. So we are looking at what is the moving average of sales in June 2012 using 6 months prior and 6 months after. So let's go back. Let's rename our sheet. Question 13. Okay. So we need the order date because we are looking at the moving average at month June 2012. So let's break it down to 12. So this is our sale and we are looking at the sale value. So let's pull up sales, and if you see right there, you can see that we have sum of sales. Now let's say we want to add a new table calculation. So if you see the moving average we have here, it is moving average across the entire piece. So we want it, because we want it by 6 months before and 6 months after, we add a new table calculation. In the drop down here we have moving calculation, which in this case is moving average. So I say moving and then I'm saying average, and this is where it gets, you can see how many you want, whether you want 5 or 6. So I want 6 previous values and 6 before values, and then say apply. So now if you see the numbers change, so we are looking at June of 2012, which is 188,552. Let's go back and see, do we have it? We have it right there, which is C. So that's how we use moving average, and you can basically do 6 before and 6 after and stuff like that. Okay, the last one we have, the last question in this set or in the preparation guide is question number 14. Create a histogram showing the number of sales using sales bins of $100,000. Which bins have profit ratio, which is the ratio of profit to sale, of more than 25%. So this is interesting because they are asking us to create a sale bin. So this is what we want to do in creating bins, or where we wanted to talk about groups. This is a question to test your group's knowledge. And there are two things here. One is the question has a lot of options, and if you see, select all of them, apply. So this is one type of question where you have more than one answer that you can get in Tableau. So let's see what we can do. So let's go back and start a new worksheet, which we will call new. Rename the sheet to Q14. So the first thing we wanted to do is we want to create bins which on profit of $1,000. Let's go back and see histogram of sales bin. So it's not profit, we want sales at $1,000 bin. So I'm going to go back to my Tableau, go to my sale, right click on that, and I'm going to create a new bin. What is this bin? By default it basically averages out, but because in this case I exactly know I want it by 1000, I'm going to go to 1000. I'm going to say okay, and the name of this sales bin is sales at 1k. 1k in this case is 1000, so I'm going to say okay. So if you see, now I have that sales 1k in my dimension, so I'm going to get that and I'm going to add it. So now I know, but how much is the value of this? So each one has one of these bins. So then I'm looking at what is that they are asking us is profit ratio, which is profit as a percentage of sales. So we already have profit as a percentage of sales, which is a profit ratio. So we are going to basically aggregate that right there, which is basically, if you see, just to review it, if you go and see, it is basically the sum of total profit by sum of total sales in that bin. So if you see, we already have it. So to kind of look at whatever, so if you look at, we get a profit bin based on whatever values we have, and then we can basically view this in a bar graph or something. So if you see, you're basically using this one, you know which of them are having more. And the other one, the next one they have is which bins have a profit ratio of more than 25%. So in this case, we are showing all of the bins. So we are basically trying to filter things out by the summation of the bins. So we are going to use that as our filter. And if you see, we have the bin ratio all the way from negative. So because we are only looking for 25%, which is, we can write it 0.25, which is 25. So I want to have everything that is more than 25. I click OK, and if you see, you right there you have the answers of 7, 8, 11 and 18. So all of these should be your answers. So let's go back and select 7C, 8D, 11F and G18. So these are all these four. C, D, F and G are the answers in this case. So this is how we get to that answer. So as you can see, as you apply more and more of what you learned, you will start seeing how important the Tableau is and how it can solve your questions very quickly. So as we saw, the data sets, either the Superstore data set or the data set that we were provided for analysis, these data sets can talk a lot, and as we add more and more, you get more and more information out of it. So this is a detailed review of all the questions the Tableau has in the user guide, and please let me know in case you have any questions or you are not clear about anything. We would be more than happy to help you at Gray Campus. So that's all with this video. This video concludes this section where we talked about Tableau certification, and we reviewed one by one question, all the 14 questions that were provided along with the data set. So we understand how to come out to answers, and it is really good for us to prepare ourselves for Tableau certification. Thank you.